All right, just to give you a rundown, this is we absolutely have 0 home events this week except for the basketball tip-off event tomorrow night that I'll let Coach Boone talk about here in a minute. But so this week, men's golf is down in Little Rock at the Chenal Country Club today and tomorrow. Women's golf is in the Bahamas Friday through Sunday this week. Everybody feels sorry for them. Y'all probably would have won if y'all would have knew they were playing over there, wouldn't you? They should have sold tickets. They probably could have got a few takers on that. Men's soccer plays at Liberty at 5 o'clock on Friday. Volleyball's at Lipscomb at 6 on Friday in Nashville. Softball is hosting a fall game against Harding at 5:30. Saturday, volleyball will be at Austin P at 4 o'clock. Women's soccer's at Florida Gulf Coast in Fort Myers, Florida. And then Sunday, softball hosts Southern Arkansas at 3 o'clock in a fall game. So, which is a rarity. This is fall break on campus this week on Thursday and Friday, so there's no classes or anything. And then, as it might happen to fall, usually we have a road football game, but for this season, we don't even have football this weekend. So it's kind of an odd weekend for us for sure. So. And then also today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, the baseball team is playing their Fall College World Series in the afternoons. If you would like to go out and watch them, they'll be playing around 3 o'clock each afternoon. So, all right. So how we did this weekend: cross country was at Texas A&M on Saturday. The men finished 8th out of 40 teams. The women finished 23rd out of 38 teams. It's one of the largest cross-country tournaments or events in the country with that many teams. The Hasner brothers broke the 8K record here on that we hold on our campus, and they finished 8th and 9th overall out of 360 runners. So that was a good weekend for those guys. And then on the women's side, Sarah Stemmel finished 54th out of 326 runners. So it was a good. So they have their next meet is the conference championship in Huntsville, Alabama on October 29th. Women's soccer yesterday won their senior day match against North Alabama 3-1. They are currently tied for 4th. They have one match left at Florida Gulf Coast on Saturday, and we feel pretty good that they're in. They take the top 8 teams, but they do it off, how many points. Win gets you 3 points, a tie 1. Obviously, if you lose, you get 0. So there are mathematically some opportunities where they could still get eliminated depending on how they do Saturday and how some other teams do. So, but we do feel pretty good about their chances of making the tournament. Men's soccer played last night, a makeup game from Saturday because we had the lightning storm Saturday night, so we had to move it to last night. So we played Florida Gulf Coast last night. We ended up in a 2-2 tie, and we are in second place in the men's soccer tournament or for the standings. They only take in the men's soccer. We only take 6 teams, so we're second right now, and we're probably a 98% confirmed, but we have 2 matches left, Liberty, and then we play Jacksonville on homecoming weekend at 11 a.m. for our senior day. So depending on how they do, there's a good chance they'll be hosting the first weekend of the conference tournament because the top 2 seeds host. So there's a good chance they would be hosting games on November 5th and 7th here at the Stevens complex. So, all right, and then volleyball. John, why can y'all not win in less than 5?
The refs.
It's the refs' fault. Okay. I like it. It's the refs' fault. We've 7-game winning streak, 6-game ASUN winning streak. They beat Stetson and Florida Gulf Coast 3-2 on Friday and Sunday. They're playing very well right now. They got the next 3 matches on the road, which will be a tough challenge going to Lipscomb and Austin P this weekend, especially since you play Friday, Saturday, and you got travel and some other things you have to deal with. So, but then they come home and they play 4 out of their last 5 at home, so that bodes well for us also. So if we can survive this little 3-game stretch, we should be pretty good. So at this time, I'll have Coach John Newberry come up and talk about volleyball.
All right, incredible week this week for us. Right at a week ago, so I got done with Bearbackers and called one of our players, Mackenzie Vernon. Thought that she should have had a good run at possibly getting Player of the Week. Ended up where Aaron Shoemaker, who is ASUN Player of the Year 2 times in a row, All-American, who we just saw this last weekend. She had 28 kills in a 4-set match, and that kind of knocked our player out of the chance of that. So I called Mac, said, hey, you should have gotten it, but this kid just had stupid good numbers, so probably not going to, but we want you in there, just keep doing your thing, and she has been. But she's like, it's all right. She goes, John, I think that we can win this weekend. And Florida Gulf Coast, number 1 in the conference at the time. They'd had 1 loss, but they've had some incredible wins this season. I know I joked about last week about how big they are. They're just a big physical team. One of the girls, we got a transfer in from Tennessee. They've got a transfer in from Penn State, a 6'7" kid from Wisconsin. So all the things are stacked up against us as far as just size-wise. We are not that big. Instead of 6'7", we have 5'8", right in front of the 6'7" kid. But it didn't matter. But I thought it was really cool. So Mackenzie Vernon said, hey, have you seen this film called The Redeem Team on Netflix? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she goes, John, it's what we've been going through the last couple of years with this team. I think if we can all set our egos aside and not worry about us and worry about these wins and come together and just go all out and do everything that you guys have been teaching us this whole entire year, we can beat these guys. I'm like, well, by God, Mac, I'm starting to believe we can do it too. So sure enough, so I said, well, let's get the team and let's figure out when you want to watch it. 10 minutes later, she calls me back. She's like, all right, we're coming to your house tomorrow night at 7:30 after practice. I'm like, all right, we'll grab some ice cream and everything. So Aaron and got some ice cream for the girls and some popcorn and made sure that they were happy with that stuff. And they were. So we started watching it. And if you're not familiar with it, the film is about the 2004-2008 men's basketball Olympic team. It's with Kobe and Bosch and D. Wade and all those guys. And LeBron. Incredible film. High money, high stakes, high egos. And anyway, so we watched it, and I think when Kobe checked his teammate in the very first game against Spain, it just set off this wave. And so anyway, they just saw a lot of parallels. We don't have a Kobe on our team that can just take over. We just have a really good team, and they're just all bought in and couldn't be more proud. So we showed up, Florida Gulf Coast. We had a game plan, and the girls stuck to it, and we got up 2-0 against a really, really good team, very physical team. But we handled our business, and I was really proud of them. They didn't care who was in front of us. They just knew that we could win. And lost the next 2 sets, and then in the 5th set, our freshman Kaylin Coons got on an incredible point run with her serve. And then it got a little bit tight again in the 5th set. I think it was 9-8. Saw a little bit of confidence go away. Well, then we had a freshman. She pulled kind of a Kobe moment and just laid all out for this ball. Next thing I know, I see girls who have never touched the ground with their stomachs or backs. Everybody's on the ground just going for everything. And it sparked a big momentum shift for us. And then we didn't coast. We just manhandled the rest of the game. And anyway, so I was extremely proud just from our program, from the girls, and then I think our coaching staff. We stayed in tune with the girls and with our game, and it was a great win. Moving forward to Stetson, that game for us, Stetson, scary team. They've got all the parts and pieces. It's a gritty team. It was probably the scariest match that we've had for sure, because they could just out-physical you just from just mental toughness. They're a chirpy team. They'll talk through the net, and then when they've got you down, they're going to keep talking to you. That doesn't happen a whole lot in volleyball. So when they do that and they're winning, it kind of throws the confidence away a little bit. But I was really proud of the girls. Went 5 with them again, and but glad we came out on top on that. So as far as big performance, Jamariana Hall, she's one of our 5'8" sophomores. She had a big night, 20 kills against Florida Gulf Coast, 19 kills against Stetson. Batted a little over 280 for the weekend. Incredible performance. And we've got a freshman setter and a freshman libero that did really, really well. But overall, it's a team effort, team win. We had some other big numbers from some other players. I thought Kendall Haywood, she's our transfer from the University of Houston. She had a really great physical game against Florida Gulf Coast and did well against Stetson as well. So just extremely proud. I got to compliment the staff as well. These guys, we've been putting in a lot of work into making sure that we're on top of our game, and they've been doing an incredible job as well. So really proud of these guys. All right, so we're sitting at a 3 or 4-way tie in second place in the A-Sun. If you would have told me that 3-4 weeks ago, I'd have never believed you. Just because of our physicality, I don't think we physically match up to a lot of the teams here in the conference. But we've been gritty. I'm so proud of these guys, extremely proud. And I think us as coaches, we're just trying to stay out of their way, to be honest with you, and enjoy the rest when we can get some. So we've got Lipscomb. We have the exact same record as they do. So this is going to be a big match for us on Friday. We'll see what happens. So anyways, any questions? I think you're good. All right. Thank you, guys.
I think Kingston had a question, but you didn't acknowledge him. All right. As y'all can tell, since the weather's getting cold outside, it's getting near time for basketball season. So basketball, we're having a deal tomorrow night. I'm going to let Coach Boone come up and visit with you about that. But also know that November 1st at 7 p.m., we have our first men's basketball exhibition game against Champions Christian at 7 p.m. Am I saying that right, Coach? Yeah. And also on October 29th I'll let you tell them what time you are going to scrimmage on October 29th. So they can come watch on homecoming if they'd like. Coach Boone.
I never know what to do up here. Thank you, Daryl. Maybe. I'll just lean forward. All right. Tomorrow evening, we're having Bears on the Block, and it will feature men's basketball and women's basketball. The cheer team will get to perform. You'll get to see them. The dance team will get to perform. And I think if you come tomorrow and you see those two teams, you'll probably realize that they may have some of the most athletic people on campus. Those two teams work very, very hard, extremely hard. They're very dedicated to their craft, and they are very entertaining and certainly deserve our support also for all that they do for every team on campus. But also, it's going to be a great evening. It will start about 6:30. The doors will be open. I think doors open at 5:30. Not that I would advise you to get there at 5:30. But doors will open at 5:30. Starts at 6:30. All kinds of contests. Kristen has all kinds of things lined up. Shooting contests, tic-tac-toe, basketball tic-tac-toe. There's a pizza eating contest, which I would have loved to have been invited to be a part of, but I was not asked to take part in that. And I'm not upset about that. No, it's okay. Afterthoughts. No, it's going to be a fun evening, though. A wonderful evening. Great for anyone in attendance. For you guys, bring friends, bring family. You get to see all of our returners. We have quite a few new guys also. I tell people now, it seems that everybody we bring in over the last couple of years, certainly this year, they're either from Arkansas or from out of the country. That just seems to be the stride we've kind of hit in our recruiting now. Cam Hunter, our returning point guard, was freshman of the year in the A-Sun. He was picked as preseason all-conference for the ASUN. Eddie Kayulud certainly did well last year for us, had some great, very entertaining, wow, how did he do that, games for us last year. And, we look for those two guys and a number of guys we have returning and some of our newcomers to provide some great moments for us this season. And I want to say a couple things. Yes, October 29th, homecoming, we will have an intra-squad scrimmage. I believe we're going to start at 12:30, but I'll have to check. Or is it 11:30? 11:30?
Don't quote me.
Okay. Well, we will, when we have that, we will certainly blast that time out of when we're starting so that you can see us and then enjoy your tailgating before homecoming. And then November 1st will be our first exhibition game against Champion Christian here in the Fair Center. And we're looking forward to a very fun season. When I went to our convention in New Orleans back in April, the consensus of all the ASUN coaches that played here in Ferris was that this was the toughest place to play. And it was because of you guys coming to the games, making it a fun environment for us, making it a very intimidating environment for them. Our attendance was up quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun. And the other thing I wanted to address is this. Someone asked me last week, Coach, are you going to have any close games this year? Yes. Yes, we will. I don't know, Daryl, if we need to have some kind of disclaimer, like before you get on a roller coaster. If you have issues with that, bring your Pepto, make sure you take your blood pressure medicine or whatever. That's going to happen, more than likely. And I can't promise you what the results will be, but I will tell you that this is a great group of young men. They work extremely hard, and they are fun to be around, and they will be fun to watch for you guys. I think I covered everything.
Yeah. Got any questions?
Do you have any questions?
Any players standing out to you right now?
Any players standing out? Cam Hunter has looked really good. He looks like he has improved from how he was last year. He's shooting the ball a little bit better. He looks like he's, as physically impressive as he was last year, he came in looking better than he did last year. And that doesn't mean he'll have better stats, because I think his teammates might be a little bit better too. But he looks really good and growing more into that role of point guard and floor general. Eddie Kayulud looks really good. Elias Cato was a freshman from Australia last year. Didn't get to play a whole lot, but he's really come along and is looking really good. And Churchill Bounds was a COVID freshman last year. He's from Maryland. He's been looking really good. Really, really big guy. He's the one guy on the team that almost makes me look small.
Any of the new guys doing anything right now that we should be looking for?
Right now, the new guys are doing pretty good, I would say. Johannes Kiripisu, who's from Estonia, he's a point guard from Estonia, has been looking pretty good. He's pretty impressive. How much he's going to play, I'm not sure. But he's picked up what we're doing pretty well, and he's a pretty smart player. And yes, he does shoot the ball very well, and I do like that. Carl Daughtery is from Maumelle. He's looked pretty good. He's adjusted pretty well, and I would say Cameron Wallace from Little Rock Parkview is athletically very impressive. And if he keeps coming along, he's going to be someone that eventually is going to provide quite a few highlights for everyone. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Stand on or sit on or something.
Something to sit on?
Yeah.
Give you guys something to stand on.
Yeah, maybe that might be easier to get something to stand on and get it a little higher. So probably need a taller microphone system or something. So, All right, football. Football took care of business Saturday at Kennesaw, 51-24. We're 2-0 in ASUN conference play. We have 3 ASUN conference matchups left: North Alabama, Eastern Kentucky on the road, and then Jacksonville State at home. I will say this: we had 2 offensive. I'm gonna let Coach talk about it, but I know I'm not supposed to say this, so make sure you don't release this until after 1 o'clock. Chris Richmond was the player of the week for offense in the ASUN, as you can imagine, since he set the ASUN record for most receptions in a game. So that was excellent. And then I'll let Coach talk about the others. So we're going to go with Coach Ken Collums, Offensive Coordinator, first, and then when he gets done, Coach Matt.
Good. Just ask Kitchens all the tough questions, okay? Just make sure you do that, all tough questions. Easy questions, just give them to me. All right, so we got to go to Kennesaw State, that was my first time in Kennesaw, Georgia. They've got a nice setup. It was a great day for the Bears. I mean, it like everything lined up. I mean, the weather was unbelievable. The facility was really cool. It was come on up here with me. The facility, it was built as in combination with their school, but with a pro soccer team. So it was a good setup. The grass, I'm telling you, was some of the best surface I've ever been on. It's pretty sweet. I mean, you just go out there and everything just felt good. But that doesn't mean that you're going to play well. All that doesn't mean you're going to play well. But the thing is, we did. We played well. It was the most complete 4 quarters of football, really, on offense and defense. Golly, our guys, for the most part, we protected the ball. We made plays when they would have something on. Defensively, we would get the ball out. Will McElvain did a really good job. He's getting better and better every week with just understanding and making those split-second decisions that you got to make as a quarterback. Y'all have no idea just all the things that could go wrong on one offensive play. It's not endless, but there's a whole list of things that could go wrong. And things went, for the most part, right for us. But when I always tell my quarterbacks, don't make a bad play worse. I've been known to call some good plays, but then some plays are not great at that certain time. So don't make a bad play worse. And for the most part, he's getting that. And I'm really proud of our guys. Like when it was time to run the ball, we ran the ball. Darius Hale had 170 yards. He's a good player. I mean, at times, and you guys can start I challenge you guys to watch, when you're watching a football game, it's a good run when at the end of the run, it looks like I always tell our guys this, it looks like an F2 tornado, just kind of touched down, and there it is. There's like a debris ball there at the end where the tackle was made, but then there's bodies here. There's debris right there for about 10 yards, sometimes 15. That's a good run, good physical run. Multiple times he did that. We blocked him up very, very well. I was so proud of our offensive line. They needed that. Our O-line needed that to be able to go out, and we outrushed a triple option team. And what does that say for our defense, though? Those guys shut them down. But the fact is, those guys see run every day. They were a physical defense, and we did well against them. And threw and caught. Christian Richmond, the week before, I don't think he had a single catch, and so that's not very smart. So we were like, all right, well, Christian needs to get the ball. Did we plan on, hey, we need him to set the ASUN reception rate? No, we didn't. Some of it was by design, but some of it just happens. And he made all the catches, made all the plays, and but everybody else did their job to make it look really, really clean at times. The other guy, Colin James, we lined him up in at least 4 different spots. Like literally 4 different positions on the field. He is a super instinctive player. He probably didn't get the ball enough, but the 5th position, well, he didn't line up at quarterback, but he did throw a pass. So he threw a pass for a touchdown. So, all right. He's thrown 3 passes in his career. All 3 of them have been touchdowns. So I'm sure I'm going to get the question, okay, Collums, why don't you have him throw the ball more if all he does is throw touchdowns? Well, we're getting into that, so don't worry about that. But he is, he throws strike. I mean, it was a little gadget type play off of a counter. The last time we threw and caught that was at Western Kentucky with Carlos Blackman for 80 yards. It's a cool deal when it works. But we're getting to the point where we can trust our guys more and more, and we've got some explosive people. And when you trust your guys, the play calling gets a lot easier because you know they're not going to mess stuff up, and you can be aggressive with your play calling, and you know because you have confidence in them to make the plays. And what happened on Saturday is we made those guys defend the entire field. We got the ball on the perimeter pretty well. And the best thing that can happen for all the perimeter stuff is that running back there. People can't stray too far from the box because they know when the quarterback can sit there and hand it to that running back, it makes it really, really tough. He averaged 7.5 yards a carry. Darius, I'm talking about, and so it was a good day from start to finish. Obviously, there are a few hiccups in there that kind of threw the brakes on some of our drives, and they were a good defense. They go to the playoffs like every year in Kennesaw, so that was a really, really good program win. I'm happy for Coach Brown. I mean, he deserved it. This thing this year has been kind of up and down. We'll play really well, and then we'll bump our head, but and that's stressful for all of us. It's really stressful for the head coach. So. I was happy for him. I was happy for our entire staff and our team. It was a really good deal. Long trip, but it's a heck of a lot better drive home when you play clean and you're satisfied. There's something about getting back on the bus, knowing that all right, we just played well. We just did really good because there's so much that goes into it. So we're fired up, and I think we're in a good spot. We got an open week this week, so. We'll rest up and get some work in, and I think the open week it came at a perfect time. All right, easy questions. Remember, saving the hard ones for kitchens. I'm good. Everybody's we lost a tight end, Riyad Anada, broke one of his bones, broke his fibula in his lower leg. Yeah, and we're thin at tight end anyway. And he's a good player. He's a guy that understands. He's been around here a long time, understands what we're doing. Those tight ends and fullbacks have to juggle a lot of stuff. Passing game, protection-wise, catching the ball, run blocking. We don't ever hand it to them, but we'll throw it to them on fourth down. It's kind of a thing for us. But yeah, that's the only one. Anybody else? All right. Thank you all.
How y'all doing today? First off, I want to say it's always hard to go after him. You know, he's probably a better speaker than I am at things like this. But, you know, first thing after coming back from that trip, just so proud for our kids, you know, and the assistant coaches, you know, obviously on defense and everybody, to go down there and win at a place that had, what was it, the second longest home winning streak in FCS, correct? Against a team that probably brought me more stress last week than I've had in years, you know, playing triple option, right? It's something that we don't see. You know, they lined up in formations all day on Saturday that we never see. They ran plays that we never see, that we won't see again until we play them next year. So that obviously brought some stress into my household, into my life, that I was glad when it was over with, that it was over, you know. But like I said, very proud of our kids. I think, you know, during the week, we probably have the best scout team, meaning the guys that show us, obviously, Kennesaw State, correct? We probably had the best week of scout team work from those guys. And I think that's huge, you know, and I was so proud of those guys. So, and they're ones that are redshirting, that some of them are walk-ons that don't get any credit or don't get anything from it, right? That go out there every day, and I thought they did an unbelievable job helping us be able to defend that. You know, you look at it, David Walker is continuing to be a nuisance in this league. You know, he had 9 tackles. He had, I think he had 1.5 TFLs, a sack, and he probably had 18 or 20 disruptive plays, right? Meaning where he affected a tackle, you know, on a run block, that he affected them in the pass game. And he's a beautiful kid, and that's what's so fun about him is that he loves football and he just comes to work every day. And UCA's thankful for him. I can promise you that. Wilson T-Bird, you know, obviously he's still playing at a very high level. He had another great game. We're moving him around. Y'all can probably tell he doesn't play the same position a lot. He plays in different spots. We're just trying to see how many times we can get good players to the football. And he did a great job. He did. And then I thought DC, Demetrius Charles, very proud of him. He had 7 tackles. He had a PBU. He did some really good stuff. And then just everybody up front. I thought our D-line, for what they do, right? So what basically they're gonna try to cut one of our interior D linemen every play, right? Okay, and then they're gonna try to roll off the football on the backside and cut one of our D ends, right? Which you're not seeing all the time. And those guys were asked. 2 of them were asked to control the A gaps, don't get cut out, and the other 2 were asked to squeeze the tackle and then tackle the die, right? That's all they ask. I called 2 calls all night, right? I normally have 25 calls, and those guys executed at as high level as you could possibly have. And it was one of those deals, you told them all week it's going to be boring. You're going to do the same thing, right? Every snap, every play, and if you don't do it, they'll score. And they did it, and they did a really, really good job. And then obviously back-end wise, it's probably even a harder job because you're getting so much motion, you're getting so much stuff thrown at you, right? And they're running the football so many times that you mess up once and it can get you. And but I thought for the majority of the game they handled it very well. Probably the kid I'm probably most proud about is Jalen Bedale. I thought he probably had his best game of his career. It's an interior D lineman. He was unbelievable. So I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of this team. I told them Friday night, there's not another group of people I want to be with, you know? And I mean that. They're great kids. They play hard, and they're fun to be around. So, any questions?
Somebody's got to ask you one now.
Come on.
I do.
Come on.
He said ask the hard question.
Oh, good.
to you. What is the most difficult struggle you're having on the defensive side of the ball?
Some of it is 2-by-2, a formation we're having a little bit of issue in. Obviously about keeping quarterbacks in, right? You know, we've went on a streak of playing, I don't know how many athletic quarterbacks we've had, right? And that's probably the biggest issue. We keep fighting, and we're going to keep fighting it forever. You know, it's a hard task. And I coached safeties my whole life, right? Now I coach the outside linebackers. And I actually told them a couple weeks ago, our D staff, I'm like, I didn't know this was that hard. You know what I mean? Because I've been a safeties coach. I didn't worry about it much, you know. I mean, but, yeah, that's probably – and that's going to be an everyday battle we have. And we've made some adjustments at practice. We're doing some stuff different that I think has helped us. But it's an everyday struggle. I think about it a lot. It keeps me up at night. So, anybody else?
What was the big difference between the 2 Saturdays? Was it the style that you played against? I mean, you played an outstanding game Saturday, and not to be rude, the week before it wasn't very good.
No, you're 100% right. And the week before is on me. I think I had to do a better job. I didn't do a very good job against Lindenwood. And I think it was a new day, you know? I think I didn't do a good enough job when we preparing us for Lindenwood. And I think our kids woke up Saturday and went back to playing the way they had been playing, you know? And that's got to be something I have to control better. I have to get them to go like that every week, right? And not have, you know, the 1 week lull, and I'm working my butt off to make sure that doesn't happen. But I wish I sat around the house for all last week, right? Trying to figure it out, you know? And I still think about it, and I shouldn't. And but the kids play hard. I know that. They're great kids. They're fun to be around. So I wish I could give you that answer too. But it was good they responded, right? That's the thing I think about some too, is that it wasn't a fun week 2 weeks ago, right? But the next Sunday they came to work, right? And on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, on Thursday, and they never wavered from the plan. And that as a coach makes you proud. So that's about all I can say there.
Coach Collums, is that the question you want me to ask you?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That sounds like it's something. No, no, it's good. Anybody else? Beautiful. Thank y'all.
So one historical point that Steve didn't put in his notes or the coaches didn't talk about, we've had, in the last 2 years, we've had 2 teams announce the week we were playing them that they were going to make the transition from FCS to FBS. Last year we went to Jacksonville State. They made the announcement the week we went there. This year we were going to Kennesaw State. They accepted their bid. And you know what we did to them? We destroyed them both. So we vote that everybody the week before the game, we're just going to start saying that they're making the transition from FCS to FBS, so we can just beat them. So because that is a unique situation that's happened to us the last 2 years that the teams have announced that as they've gone into that. So anyway, so we appreciate you that are here. Go ahead, Mick.
On that same line of thinking, give us some of the criteria to go to FBS. For instance, number of seats in the stadium. Their stadium is smaller than ours.
Well, that
They may be going to build some more.
that number it's supposed to be 30,000. You got to average 15,000, but that number gets swayed a lot. They're really not pushing that as hard as they once were. It's really the real question is, has anybody invited you? They can figure out the other stuff later. You have to be invited, and that's really basically what it comes down to. Is anybody willing to invite you? Because like Jacksonville State only holds 20,000, people. So I mean, there's those limitations. But at the end of the day, to get to FBS, you have to be invited by a conference to join their conference, and that's really the first step in it. And of course, then it becomes if the president and the board of trustees at that institution want to accept that invitation and stuff. And the difference between FCS and FBS really comes down financially to this, and it's, we're FCS, so Ole Miss paid us $475,000. If they're playing Arkansas State in that same game, they're going to pay $1.7 million for that same game that they played us $475,000 for, because it counts as a FBS win instead of a SCS win. So, I mean, that's the biggest difference, is the financial gains that you can make as an institution from playing those type of games. And even the ones that play like the MAC schools in basketball, let's say, or whatever, some smaller school in basketball, some of those conferences, those mid-level conferences that are ranked higher than the ASUN basketball conference, those guys will get more money for playing a big game versus what we get. We get $90,000 in a lot of those games, which is good money, but they might get $140 for that same game. So, it's all relative to that. Yeah.
I enjoy being able to watch the Kennesaw game, but do we get money out of the ESPN?
Yes. Yes. It has, well, we do, but it really has more to do with how many home events we put on ESPN Plus. So like if you hit, there's certain numbers. When you hit 40 live events, 50 live events, 60 live events, 70 live events, 80 live events, then we get, the more events you have live streamed on ESPN Plus, the more money institutionally we get back to our coffers. So it's all relative to what we're doing at home. I just wish when we went on the road, the schools at the other places that we're playing would have better announcers and better video camera operators and stuff like that, because when I watch one of our home events and listen to our announcers versus watching one of their home events and listen to their announcers, it's night and day. So it's kind of like listening to Levi and Tim Roach do a Conway High football game versus this. Oh, I'm going to pick on Tim. So, but anyway, anybody got anything else for the good of the group? Next week's homecoming, so everybody rest up on this long weekend and get ready, because homecoming's next week. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Go Bears, go Sugar Bears. Bear crawls up.